The book that I'm going to be reading tonight is a bit different than the ones that I've read before. It's not a book that I've read to any of my great ones from this school year or school years prior. So it's a new book. The illustrator of this book is the same illustrator from Heat Wave, and I've been reading Heat Wave for a long time. So if you have been in my class, you have heard and seen the book Heat Wave. So it's from the same illustrator, except he is the author in this book. And maybe he's the author and the illustrator of this book that I'm going to be reading tonight. Oh, Kendall. Hi, Kendall. I said I could remember that because I had a Kindle last year and I didn't remember. I'm sorry. Well, thank you guys for joining me. As I told my students today, what skill did I say we were going to be working on? Great ones. Who remembers what skill did I tell you we were going to be working on tonight? We talked about it a bit when I read the Tops and Bottoms book to you today. Does anybody remember? Let's see. Let's see. Who was paying attention to me? Well, while I'm waiting for the comments to come in, we're going to visualize, because visualizing is something that you should always do. You should always use your 5 senses to pretend that you are in the same situation as the character. And that's going to help you to better understand, because if you can visualize yourself in it, then you're going to understand what the character is feeling and thinking and going through. Using the pictures is always great if you have a book with pictures in it, because you can gather so much information from looking at the pictures, making connections, a text-to-text connection. If you're reading one book and it makes you think about another book, that will be a text-to-text connection. If you're reading one book and it reminds you of something that has happened in your life, that's a text-to-self connection. And I believe it was today we were reading, what book? We were reading a Jan Brett book that one of my great ones gave me, Huey. I'm not sure if he's watching it yet, and I don't recall the title of the book. Maybe my great ones can help me. And it was about a problem where a hedgehog had to go into outer space, and in outer space they had some type of eruption, and it was an eruption of flowers. And then I made the text to world connection of a volcano erupting. So that's a connection that the kids don't get to see a whole lot, but a text to world connection would be something that maybe not something that you've read about, or something that you've seen or experienced in your own life, but it happens in the world and you can connect it to that. So I am going to go ahead and get started. I didn't see any answers for the skill. Oh, wait, my comments. Okay, I see Zoe is here. Jazz. I see Zeke is here. Character traits. Yes, Jazz, you remembered. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, you were telling me. My comments weren't coming up. So you guys are with me. That's what I'm talking about. So today, the book that I'm going to read, it's called The Perfect Sword. And it is by Scott Goto. And like I said, he is the illustrator from Heat Wave. So maybe tomorrow I'll bring this book back in and we can compare the illustrations and see how they are the same. We can compare and contrast. Parents, that's the skill that we've been working on and the kids were just tested on last week. So if you can look at this, does this immediately make you guys think of something like, where might we find these people with a sword like this? Where in the world will we find them? What continent would that be on? I'm going to wait for your comments. That could be one of your 3 questions that you have to answer. The perfect sword. Looking at the pictures, I'm thinking that he must be like a teacher, and maybe this is a student because he's bowing lower and he's also bigger. Oh, wow. I see nothing but tools and things in there. What do you guys think they're going to go and do? The title is The Perfect Sword. I see the 2 of them looking at the sword and see all these tools. Maybe you guys can give me a prediction of what you think is going to happen here. Aliana, I see that you're here now. Chris, my Chris. Okay, okay. Nolan's here. Hi, Nolan. Hi, Sam. I want you to visualize what this will be like. First, see steam coming up. How would that feel? To be working really hard, you can look at their faces and tell that they're working hard. How do you think that it would feel to be here? Are you energetic? Are you tired? Are you hot? Are you cold? Sensei, Mesa. I know that sensei means teacher. Was a master swordsmith known throughout all of Japan. Did any of you say that they might be in Japan? And what continent is that? His swords were considered some of the finest ever made. He and his apprentice, this is the apprentice, the one that's learning from him, Michio, spent countless days and hours in the forge creating their swords. They heated and hammered the metal over and over to shape the blade. Then they polished and sharpened it to a razor's edge. Sensei and Michio took great care and effort and paid attention to every detail. Well, this sounds like something that great ones would do because they had to work. It says countless hours. Kind of reminds me of Simone Biles, and we just talked about her. Talked about days and days, and they paid attention to every detail. They had to focus. Let's look at the pictures here. I think it's done. And Michio looks pretty pleased with it. I'm not so sure about the sensei. I think he's really inspecting it. Let's find out. Once a sword was complete, both master and apprentice inspected it for flaws. So they're looking for mistakes. Magnificent! Exclaimed Michio as he and Sensei studied their latest creation. It is perfect. No, replied Sensei, his eyes still on the blade. Nothing is truly perfect. Something can always be improved. What does that remind you of, great ones? What do I have on the board that will go with this? Something can always be improved. What person does this remind you of? Remember to try your best in everything you do and continue to grow and learn. Yes, Sensei, Michio replied with a slight bow. However, mused Sensei. Mused. I wonder what does mused mean? Let me see if I can figure that out. However, mused Sensei, one could say my best is perfect. I wonder if that means he's thinking about it. It did say he was looking at it. Let me keep reading. Sensei turned to Michio and winked. Oh yeah, he was still looking at it. I think muse is something he was thinking. However, thought Sensei, one could say my best is perfect. Sensei turned to Michio and winked. Both burst into laughter. So let's see. Character traits. They both are hardworking. I think that because he's a student, he's probably curious to learn. And because he is a sensei, he probably is knowledgeable, probably has to know a lot. Oh, I can find evidence because it says he was a master. Can you guys see the words? He was a master swordsman known throughout all of Japan. Yeah, he's got to be pretty knowledgeable to be known throughout all of Japan. Someone says it reminds them of Les Brown. Yes, get better, get better. You guys are remembering. And when I wrote that up there, I wasn't even thinking I was going to read this book. Oh my goodness, what's going on here? Here's the sensei. Here's Michio, his apprentice. I wonder who these guys are. They all have swords. Oh, I don't know. Now comes the hard part, sighed the master. Everyone sighed. Finding an owner for the sword. Now, I would have thought that the hard part was creating the sword, but I guess because he's done it over and over and over and over and over, kind of like Michael Jordan that we've been talking about, who practiced that shot over and over and over and over and over, making it wasn't hard because he practiced and practiced and practiced. The hard part is choosing someone for it. I wonder why. Let's find out why. A skill that parents, a skill that is also good for children to do when they're reading is to ask questions. because that's going to help them with their thinking. And then they're constantly thinking about what they're reading because they have a question to answer. So I want to know, why is that the hard part? But Sensei, replied the apprentice, there are hundreds of samurai in the city. Why should that be difficult? He's curious, just like I am. What's another word for curious? Many, yes, answered Sensei, but not all are worthy. Most are thugs and bullies who do not follow Bushido. Bushido. I wonder what Bushido is. I'm going to go back, and then I'm going to read the sentence afterwards. But not all are worthy. Oh, it has to be somebody that's worthy. Most are thugs and bullies. Are those cool and nice people? No. Who do not follow Bushido. A sword is the soul of a samurai. A just sword must have a just owner. So I guess following Bushido would have to be somebody that's just, which means that you are kind and that you're fair. And it must also be someone that is not a bully or a bad person, which is what a thug is. Lucio's busy working. Does he even know that this person is behind him? And look, it appears the person is about to grab him. News of the sword spread fast. Soon, a samurai came to buy it. Nisio was sweeping the entrance floors one morning when suddenly he was lifted off his feet. Visualize that. Visualize that you're working and someone comes up behind you and completely lifts you up off of your feet. How would you feel? A giant of a man held Nisio high in the air with only one arm. Wow, he's pretty strong. I can make a text-to-self connection to this. There was one time, and I think my great ones of this year, I told you about it. There was one time when I was working out and I was doing something where I lifted the bar up on my chest like this and I fell down under the bar and I was scared. And Mr. Yerby was in the garage with me. And I was like, help, help, help. Now I'm stuck up under the bar. He came and picked it up with one hand. Pretty strong, just like this guy. Tell your master, the visitor bellowed, while shaking the small apprentice, that the great Cassio is here to buy his sword. He dropped Nisio back to his feet. Nisio stood shocked, staring at the furious-looking man. He then bowed and said, yes, sir. How strong and confident he is, thought Nisio, running inside to find Sensei. Someone like this must be a great warrior and worthy of the sword. Now, do you guys think that this guy is worthy? He came up behind Nisio, picked him up, demanded to see the master, and just dropped him down. I would like to see either thumbs up or an answer. What do you guys think? Is this person worthy of the sword? Looking at some of your answers. Here he is inside. Look at that face. Looks pretty mean to me. I have easily defeated hundreds of men, roared Cassio as he sat with Sensei. I have captured countless villages. All who see me run in fear. Everyone's afraid of him. You think that that's someone that's worthy of this samurai? Only one as strong as I deserves such a perfect sword. I mean, worthy of the sword. And what if, asked Sensei, the villagers don't want to work for you? Ha! Snorted Cassio. Then I burn down their houses and destroy all that they own for questioning me. Wow, so that means that if people don't do exactly what he tells them to do, it's going to burn down their homes. I'm sorry, Sensei replied calmly, but you are far too cruel and arrogant for this sword. Thank you for stopping by. Now, the author has told us that he is cruel and arrogant. And I can see here that Sensei is calm and patient because it says that he replied calmly. Castillo was furious. He stormed out of the swordsman's house, shouting curses at the master and the apprentice. At first, Misio was puzzled. What does puzzled mean? Write it down. By Sensei's decisions. However, after some thought, he realized the sword was born of humility, must go to someone who is truly humble. That means not someone that is going to be mean and evil if people don't do exactly what they want them to do. What's this? These guys are carrying something. And even more people are following. And people are watching. Let's see. The next morning, Misio was cleaning the screen doors. Misio is a hard worker, sweeping, cleaning, making swords, when 4 men carrying a sedan chair stopped in front of him. They were surrounded by many servants and guards. Who would have many servants and guards, guys? Everyone in the party bowed deeply as an elegantly man emerged from the chair. An elegantly dressed man emerged from the chair. "Announce to your master," shouted one of the servants, "that the noble Lord Tota is here to purchase the famous sword." Misio looked at Lord Tota, who had not once turned his way. Wow, this guy doesn't even look at Misio. And he doesn't talk for himself. He has someone else to do that for him. Misio then bowed to the servant and went inside. What power to have so many people serving him, Misio thought. A man of such stature must be worthy of our sword. He's the complete opposite of the big, mean fellow, the big, strong, mean fellow. "I have much political power and influence," explained Lord Tota to Sensei. "I have hundreds of servants and warriors who do my every bidding." Every bidding. I have hundreds of servants and soldiers who do my every bidding. I think that might mean everything. Everything he asked them to do. "Truly, only one as noble as I deserves a perfect sword." "And how many battles have you fought in?" asked Sensei. "Me fight in a battle? Never," replied Lord Tota. "I leave that to the soldiers. Such is the privilege of being born a noble." What's he going to need the sword for? "I'm sorry," replied Sensei. "You have earned nothing for yourself. The sword is not for you. Thank you for coming by." Insulted and flustered, Lord Tota quickly left the swordsman's house. Again, Misio was puzzled. But after much thought, he realized that only one who has worked hard deserves a sword born of hard work. So, you can't be mean. You have to work hard. These are two things that will make you worthy of the sword. One thing that I notice about Nishio is that when he's confused, he sits back and he thinks about it until he can understand and find an answer. He doesn't just say, "Master, why didn't you do that?" He thinks about it and figures it out. Whoa. Look at this. This guy right here cut that insect in half. Nishio doesn't look too happy about that. He looks kind of scared. The following day, a tiny housefly was bothering Nishio as he polished the entrance floors. Still working. Nishio was swatting at it when a visitor appeared out of nowhere, startling him. The stranger had a stone-cold face. That means he's not smiling, he just has a mean-looking face. And yet his eyes burned like hot coals. "Excuse me," the man whispered. "My name is Kishin. I am a ronin. I want to purchase a sword from your master." A ronin? I wonder what that is. I'm going to read to see if I can find out. But I want you to know that sometimes you have to have a dictionary with you when you read it. And I actually looked this up because I didn't even know what it was. "Yes, sir," said Misio as he tried to swat the fly that continued to annoy him. In an instant, Kishin drew his sword, sliced the fly in half, and placed his sword back in the scabbard. I guess that's what actually holds the sword, is the scabbard. I haven't found out what a ronin is yet. I'm going to keep reading. Misio stood in awe of the expressionless ronin. Then he bowed and went to find his master. Surely Sensei will like this one, thought Misio. Such calm and skill. He's the perfect candidate. I wonder if he really is going to be the perfect one. What do you guys think? So this is what he looks like, and that's his stone cold face. I have dedicated my life to Kenjutsu, said the Ronin to Sensei. All that matters to me is winning duels and perfecting my skill. Only one who is as dedicated as I should own such a perfect sword. How do you think the shogun and lords treat the people? I had to look up the word shogun too, because I didn't know what that is. And the shogun is kind of like a lord. It's like the highest warrior, who is like the king or the emperor of an area. I have no interest in politics or such trivial matters. So he is not interested in doing what the king tells him to do. He is not interested. So this person, if it was like someone that was in our country, he's not really interested in doing things to help others that the president might want him to do. He is kind of by himself with no leader. That's what a ronin is. And I lost my spot. I only care about becoming the best swordsman in Japan. So he doesn't care about what the rulers want. He only wants to be the best swordsman. Is he worthy? Is he going to be worthy of getting the sword? I'm sorry, replied Sensei. You are dedicated, but you are also selfish. The sword is not for you. Thank you for coming. Sensei bowed his head. Kenshin bowed his head to the floor and left in silence. Once more, Misio was what? Puzzled. Then he realized that the sword born of care and concern must go to one who cares for others, not just for himself. So you can't be cruel. You have to work and be willing to work, not expect other people to do everything for you. And you have to care about and help others to be worthy of the sword. I wonder when are we going to find this person? Looks like they're having some fun. In this entire book, they've been busy working and trying to find somebody to own the sword. They're having some fun now. Days passed, and many visitors came, but none was the right one. Yeah, I think the sensei is patient and determined to find the one who he feels is worthy. He's not going to settle and just give up and say, I'm tired, just take the sword. They were all either too cruel, too privileged, or too selfish. Growing tired of meeting these people, Sensei and Misio took a day off to visit the marketplace. Nibbling on sticks of sweet candy, they walked by the vendors who were selling everything from fish and vegetables to dishes. So a vendor is someone who sells things. This is a vendor. Vendors are here. Here's a vendor. Oh no. Is this the same guy that we saw at the beginning? Let me go back and see. Well, that's when they were making the sword, looking for the cruel guy that came in and just picked to see. Oh no, Misio up. That's not him, because that guy had a patch. Looks a lot like him though. Both master and apprentice were enjoying the excitement of the crowd when a large man shoved past them in a rush. Stop, thief! Cried out a vendor. Before Sensei and Misio could do anything, a young man blocked the thief's path. He was much smaller than the thief, but his body looked strong, and he had two swords, one long and one short, stuck in his sash. Please return the money, the young samurai said to the thief. Out of my way, runt! Yelled the thief. and he pulled out a large knife and slashed at the samurai. Who won that battle? The big guy or the small samurai with the two swords? How did he win it? Did he use a sword? No. Could this be the worthy one? Oh, this must have been the vendor whom the guy had stolen something from. The young warrior quickly disarmed the thief and knocked him unconscious. His hand never once reached for either of the swords. Michio was amazed. Sensei nodded in approval. Sensei has changed. It is the first time that he's nodding in approval. One should not be rewarded. I'm sorry. Thank you for your help, the vendor said to the samurai. Please take these coins as reward. See, he's trying to give him a reward. You can see here, got his hand out. One should not be rewarded for doing what is right, replied the samurai. Thank you, but no. As the young samurai walked away, Sensei turned to Michio and said, go and invite him to our house. Tell him who we are, but do not say why we wish to meet him. I see here Sensei has changed again. What other change is happening here? I would like you guys to tell me. Michio nodded and ran after the young man. Sensei headed home to prepare for his guest. Well, this must be him in front. Doesn't look mean. We already know that he knows how to defend himself and take care of himself. He won't have servants to do it. We know that he will help others because he helped the vendor. Not long after, the samurai sat with Sensei in his house as Michio served hot tea. My name is Takeshi, said the young man, bowing low. I am a low-ranking samurai in my clan. It is an honor to be here, Sensei Misa. Your work is respected throughout Japan, so everybody already knows who he is, and he's like, oh, it's an honor to be here. It is I who am honored to meet you, replied Sensei with a bow. Oh, has Sensei bowed to anybody else in this book? But tell me, why did you not draw your sword today while you were fighting the thief? Looks like I can't tell what's happening here, what he's doing, but he's got some tea. Here it looks like he's gathering some things. Here it looks like he might be meditating. And here he must be practicing using the sword. He's cutting some bamboo. I did not have to, answered Takeshi. Hurting people needlessly is an act of weakness, needlessly. Hurting people needlessly, needless, something I need to do, I need. Hurting people when I don't need to is an act of weakness, not strength. I would have dishonored my sword by drawing it today, and to dishonor the sword is to dishonor the soul. Michio said quietly on the side, listening with a smile. You are obviously very skilled, said Sensei. Not skilled enough, replied Takeshi. Learning martial arts is never ending and requires hard work. Thus I train daily. Great ones, you know why I'm looking at you. And why, continued Sensei, did you help today? Surely you did not know the vendor. I had the power to help, said Takeshi. When one can, one should. Such is the responsibility of power, even with as little as I have. So here I see lots of quality traits of great ones. I see that he practices daily. I see that he helps other people. And I see that he wants to do what is right. He said it would have been dishonorable to pull out his sword. He didn't need it. What's happening here, guys? Excellent, replied Sensei. You are the one we have been searching for. Misio handed the latest creation to Sensei, who then gave it to Takeshi. The young samurai was speechless as he gazed at the sword. Misio sat down, fully understanding his master's decision. So, this guy, well, we don't see him here, but Takeshi, he's speechless. He can't believe that the sensei is giving him the sword. He doesn't even know that he's worth it. He's like, oh my gosh, you're giving it to me? Whereas all the other ones who are not worthy of it because they did not make the right decisions or because they didn't practice anything, the Lord, they were like, it's worthy. I'll give it to me. Give it to me. Takeshi grasped the sword with both hands. I will strive to be worthy of this most precious gift, he said, bowing his head to the floor. So he's still saying, I'm not worthy, but I'm going to work and work and work and work to make myself worthy. Sensei and Misio then bid Takeshi farewell and watched him leave. Come, Misio, said the master. It is time to start working on the next perfect soul. Is it time to start working on the next perfect soul? Sensei asked the apprentice. The master slowly turned to his smiling apprentice. He smiled back and nodded with approval. Both bowed and walked towards the forge. And if you remember at the beginning, and I'm going to go back and show you, the forge is where they were working. That's this area. Let me find that answer. Oh, here we go. It says, he and his apprentice, Misio, spent countless days and hours in the forge creating the sword. So now they're going to go and do this journey all over again. So, what did you guys learn from this book? I don't think I'm going to include everything here because I went over it a whole lot. I think I'm going to wait and see your answers. But I do know that in this book that they were looking for someone that was worthy. Well, I guess I am telling you, you don't have a chance to write it. I wish that this was in real time so that I could see it, but I can't. In order for you to be worthy, I see, and I'm going to go back and find the answers. In order for you to be worthy, you cannot be mean. You must be kind. In order for you to be worthy, you have to do some work. You cannot just expect other people to work for you and to do everything for you. In order for you to be worthy, you have to follow the rules and be willing to help others. Those are the things that you need in order to be worthy. So in the classroom right now, you guys know I have on the board Get Better, and we were talking about getting better, and we watch videos of people getting better. And then now for this week, we have up, what do we have up? Can you guys put it? I know you're going to get it, but we have up Quitters Never Win, Winners Never Quit, and we learned about that from Lisa Nichols. And maybe I'm going to put Strive to Be Worthy. You guys are all worthy. You're worthy of love. You're worthy of life. You're worthy of having anything that you want in life, but you have to work on it. You have to work on it every day. And you have to constantly get better. Like the guy here, he said that he's going to always get better. You can never just stop and say, oh, I've got it. No, you don't. Get better and get better and get better and keep working at it. So I thank you guys for joining me today. And of course, you know how I'm going to end it the same way that we begin our day. Every morning, my students, when they come into the classroom, they have 2 questions as a part of their morning work that they must answer. The first one is for them to write something that they are happy about. So you guys can either write that down here, write it in the book. or get it in your head and think about it. They also have to write something that they did that they are proud of, not something that someone else did. No, something that they did. So think of something that you did that you are proud of. Either write it down here, or you can write it in a journal. And I want you to get those things in your head. So get that thing that you're happy about in your head. Get that thing that you are proud of in your head. Think about it. Inhale, and I'll lock it in. Like I tell my kids, lock it in. I'll grab their heads and say, lock it in. Inhale, exhale, smile. You're beautiful. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next week.